everyone, thanks for joining us for another exciting edition of
Take Two.
I'm Nick Iandolo,
I'm Rosemary Pacheco.
and today we are reviewing
Star Trek Into Darkness.
Well, Rosemary, I just got back from seeing Star Trek Into Darkness, and would you like to know what I thought about it?
Yes, I would, because I did too. And I saw it in 3D.
Oh, you saw it in 3D?
Yes, I did.
I saw it in 3D IMAX.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
You got me beat on that one.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't think it would have made much difference because I got to tell you, I think I haven't been as let down by a movie like this since Star Wars: The Phantom Menace.
Wow.
Oh yes, this movie has undone years of Star Trek adoration that I have had for a long time. When J.J. Abrams came out with the reboot, the 2009 reboot, I have to say that I don't know what the heck they were thinking when they were writing this script.
I will say that J.J. Abrams, he took a very popular TV series and he, for lack of a better term, I don't want to say he dumbed it down, but he made many references to the TV series, which as a fan of that show, I love. Okay, I'm glad that they did that. But then you've got this spectacular imagery. You've got fantastic acting. You have to tell me that Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto is fantastic. Chris Pine is a good actor, and Cumberbatch, I love the guy. I, for one, like the way the movie was done. It had me from the get-go. I like the references they made to the series. I liked the imagery. I thought the acting was great. I even like the fact that they put a tribble in there. Who doesn't love a tribble? I mean, give me a break. That was my favorite Star Trek episode. I also liked the storyline. I thought it was written pretty well. I'm gonna give Kurtzman and Abrams a thumbs up on this. I think they did a good job.
Okay, well that's great. Now I'm going to give them the big thumbs down because what they did was basically slap the face of every supportive fan of the show, and they have proven that they actually have no idea how to write a Star Trek show. Because not only is this movie riddled with plot holes big enough to fly the Starship Enterprise through.
You're being a scientist.
Yeah, but the thing is, Star
You
Trek...
can't be a scientist and watch a Star Trek movie.
But Rosemary,
Unless
Star
you have
Trek is
Stephen
based-
Hawking on board with you.
No.
I'm going to say it's a good movie.
No, when Star Trek The Motion Picture came out, okay, 1979, they had on set Yescovin Partmeyer. Okay, he was a NASA scientist. Okay, they had him there as a technical advisor. Back in the day when Gene Roddenberry was mostly involved or solidly involved in the show, they always try to adhere to some tenets of science, to some scientific principles. So it's not that I'm nitpicking for nitpicking's sake. But the thing
I was
is that
amazed
those
by the
things
technology,
you should at least be aware of.
the imagery in the film.
But
It was
imagery
great.
alone doesn't make.
No, I didn't.
I mean, it's a visual
understand
spectacle.
that, but I still thought it was all the way around a good flick.
Oh no! And the thing is, there are parts of that movie, like the first half, before we get to the big reveal. Okay, the first half, there's actually a good interplay between the characters, especially Spock and Uhura. Okay, they've got that relationship thing going on, and Kirk and Spock's relationship is developing. But the other main thing that was good, see, there were good points to it, was that Kirk's the storyline of Kirk being unfit for command of the Enterprise, because in the 2009 Star Trek, they just gave him the Enterprise, a cadet out of Starfleet Academy. They gave him the flagship of the Federation. No, I don't think so. But the actual positive thing about this Star Trek Into Darkness was the fact that he was going through this phase where he actually was somewhat unfit for command. And so, and Admiral Pike is trying to get him right, get him back on the right track, which was great. And if they had gone with that, and if they had been original and focused on that, and focused on the relationship, but when we get to the second half, okay, the thing just did this big nosedive, the big nosedive into what I consider really just a remake of two of the best Star Trek movies. Okay, one that's completely considered the all-time great Star Trek movies. They shoehorned two Star Trek movies into the second half of this Star Trek movie because they couldn't come up with anything else. They had 4 years. They had an unlimited budget.
Wow, he really doesn't like this.
I know. I get it.
He really doesn't.
I'm passionate about it.
Is it only because I think if you weren't so attached to the show and you just saw this movie, you'd like it. Am I right?
Perhaps, but for me, I like a bit more science in my science fiction, and B, I also like a good character development and solid plot lines in my stories. That whether science fiction or
I will agree that they did rely heavily on beautiful imagery and a fantastic look to the screen. You gotta You got to. I mean, come on. This ship coming out of the ocean and this whole. I was just like.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, I was like, you know what? I did not want to see it in 3D. I was like, I don't want to see this. I didn't even want to see the movie. I was kind of like, I'm not crazy about sci-fi, you know. This
And the irony is, I talked you into it.
You did, and I didn't want to see this movie. And then, because I'm just not really into it, to seeing so much sci-fi stuff. But I'll tell you, I put those glasses on for 2 hours and 6 minutes. I was, wow. That's how I felt.
The thing is that I am all for going in a new direction. It wasn't that I had the problem with. The thing is that this is not going boldly where no one has gone before. This is going boldly where they've already been.
Okay, so I give it a Motif must-see.
Well, for the more discerning science fiction aficionados and you know, for that type of moviegoer, and certainly for the Star Trek fan of the type that I'm talking about, Motif must not see, because it's just gonna PO you.
Not even for the imagery of the story.
Imagery alone does not make.
No, I know, but I thought it had a good story too. I liked the story.
For me, I feel that the story completely took the big nosedive.
Really?
Yeah, into less than mediocre land. And thank you again for joining us for another exciting edition of our show. I'm Nick Iandolo.
I'm Rosemary Pacheco.
And this is
Take 2 from Motif Magazine.